Good evening, welcome to the 7 o'clock English news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. 20 Palestinians are killed and dozens others injured and missing after Israeli bombardment targeted Jabalia camp north of Gaza Strip. And the United Nations confirms that humanitarian aid has not entered northern Gaza Strip since beginning of this month. Hezbollah targets an Israeli infantry force near the Lebanese borders and hits an explosive factory in south of the city of Haifa with missiles. And the projects for the Suwayq industrial city and the first phase of the Muscat Airport Free Zone project have started. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. About 20 Palestinians were killed and dozens others injured and missing after an Israeli bombardment targeted a residential area in Jabalia camp north of the Gaza Strip. This comes as an Israeli aggression continues in the camp amidst violent artillery and air bombardment, extensive house demolition operations, and preventing the entry of food and fuel needed by hospitals in Gaza City. 2 were killed and others were injured in targeting a Palestinian march near the fishermen's port. An Israeli raid on the house in Al Bureij camp in the central Gaza Strip also resulted in the martyrdom of 2 people and a number of wounded. Israeli raids continue on various locations in the cities of Rafah and Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip, leaving a number of martyrs and wounded. Gaza's health ministry said today that at least 42,175 people have been killed and 98,336 wounded since October 7, 2023. The United Nations confirmed that the humanitarian aid has not entered the northern Gaza Strip since the beginning of this month. Farhan Haq, a spokesman for the United Nations, said that the aid entering the Strip has become at its lowest level in months and no one has received a food ration this month due to restrictions on the entry of relief supplies and the closure of the crossings, explaining that the World Food Programme has distributed its last remaining food stocks in northern Gaza, but they are not enough for 2 weeks. In the southern Gaza Strip, the UN official warned of the collapse of the humanitarian situation after bakeries became threatened with closure due to the difficulty of securing flour. The Israeli army ordered the residents of the 23 villages in southern Lebanon to evacuate their homes to areas north of the Awali River. Air raid sirens sounded in Tel Aviv after 2 drones were spotted coming from Lebanon, and the Israeli occupation army says it intercepted one of them. For its part, Hezbollah said it targeted an Israeli infantry force in Khirbet Zarin within artillery shells, hitting them directly, and bombarded a military bulldozer that was trying to exit the vicinity of the Ramya site towards the town of the guided missile, indicating that it also bombed an explosive factory in the south of the city of Haifa with missiles. This comes while the Israeli forces continue to launch raids on areas in western sector of southern Lebanon and towns of Biqa, and also targeted the Lebanese army site in the town of Kafra al-Janubiyya, which resulted in a number of casualties. Ukraine's military announced today that its forces hit a fuel depot in the Russian-occupied Luhansk region in eastern Ukraine. It added that this facility was used to store oil and its products, which were supplied, among other things, for the need of the Russian army. Meanwhile, Russia said it had downed 47 Ukrainian drones, while Kyiv reported neutralized 24 drones fired by Moscow. The Ukrainian Air Force said Russia had fired 28 drones at Ukraine, which 24 were destroyed in Sumy, Poltava, Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv, and Kherson regions. U.S. President Joe Biden announced that the Hurricane Milton resulted in losses and damages estimated at about 50 billion US dollars. Biden indicated in statements he made that the hurricane that hit the state of Florida comes at a time when the state is suffering from the effects of the previous Hurricane Helen. Hurricane Milton, the third major storm to hit Florida in 3 months, left more than 3 million people without power. He added that electricity had been restored to 1 million people so far, thanks to the efforts of about 50,000 power line workers. China has successfully recovered the test satellite Shijian-19, the first reusable and returnable satellite. The Chinese Space Agency said that it has smoothly recovered all returnable payloads in areas such as plant and microorganism breedings, autonomous control, new technology, validation, space science experiments, as well as social welfare and culture innovation. The Shijian-19 satellite is an effective space test platform for higher microgravity levels, which supports research in microgravity science and space life sciences, in addition to enhancing international cooperation in space exploration and utilization. Still to come on News Bulletin. To preserve ecological systems and vegetation cover, the Environment Authority launches an initiative to plant 2 million local seeds in Al Wusta Governorate. Welcome back to the news. And now for some news from the Sultanate. The Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs announced today the opening of registration for those wishing to perform Hajj from the Sultanate of Oman for the 1446 Hijrah season, starting from Monday, November 6th until Sunday, November 17th, 2024. The ministry indicated that the registration process will be through the electronic system for registering pilgrims from the Sultanate of Oman. It's noteworthy that the Sultanate of Oman's share of this year is 1,400 pilgrims. To enhance local and foreign investment in food security sectors, the activities of the Food Security Laboratory continue in Muscat. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources explained that by the end of the laboratory's work, 30 investment projects will be offered with a value exceeding 10 million Omani riyals. It added that the projects relate to a number of strategic crops in which self-sufficiency rates are low, such as onions, garlic, potatoes, fish farming projects, fish markets, and others in the water resources sector. The Public Establishment for Industrial Estates, Madain, has started work on the project to establish an integrated industrial city with all basic infrastructure services in the Wilaya of Suwaiq in North Al-Batna Governorate. Madain explained that the Suwaiq Industrial City will be built on an area exceeding 10 million square meters and will attract projects in several vital sectors, including food, mining and pharmaceutical industries, packaging industries and logistics services. It added that the city will enhance the economy of the Sultanate of Oman, contribute to attracting foreign and local investments and localized industries based on technology and artificial intelligence, in addition to providing and creating a number of job opportunities. The latest weather updates and analysis of the National Multi-Hazard Early Warning Center indicates a formation of a tropical depression of Southeast Arabian Sea, located at 1,200 kilometers away from the coast of Dhofar Governorate, with chances of intensification to deep depression in the next 3 days. Initial forecast suggests that the tropical system may move westward towards the coast of the Dhofar Governorate in the Gulf of Aden, with chances of cloud advocation and formation over Dhofar, Al-Wusta and South Sharqiya Governorate, with chances of isolated rain, occasional thunder showers from Monday night, 14th of October. And the northern governorates will be affected by a trough of low pressure, causing isolated showers over Muscat, South Al-Batna, Al-Dakhiliya and North Al-Sharqiya governorates. Asiyat Group has begun implementing construction work of the first phase of the Muscat Airport Free Zone project. The first phase includes preparing and leveling the land, establishing an internal road networks, public service facilities, and an administrative office complex that is expected to be developed in a partnership with the private sector. The project aims to provide a modern and attractive work environment that contributes to attracting global and regional companies, financial institutions, general trading companies, and startups, which enhances the Free Zone's ability as a global business center that attracts foreign direct investments and provide logistical support and world-class facilities. The trading value on the Muscat Stock Exchange rose in the first 9 months of this year to 826,100,000 Omani Riyals, recording a growth of 35.08% compared to its level in the same period last year, which amounted to about 608,100,000 Omani Riyals. This growth came with the improvement in investor confidence in the stock exchange and the rise of the shares of many companies, while the public joint stock companies listed on the stock exchange distributed cash dividends and free shares to their shareholders. The companies also announced many positive developments that attracted investors and strengthened their optimism for further improvement in financial results. The market value recorded gains of more than 1 billion and 16 million Omani Riyals after rising at the end of last September to 24 billion and 516 million Omani Riyals, recording an increase of 4.03%. Percentage of non-Omani ownership in the shares of companies listed on the stock exchange at the end of last September amounted to 19.01%. With the aim of preserving biodiversity of vegetation cover and providing shelter and suitable food sources for various animal species in the Arabian Oryx Sanctuary, the Environment Authority launched an initiative to plant 2 million local seeds in cooperation with various public and private institutions. The initiative seeks to restore and improve vegetation cover, local wildlife trees in the Arabian Oryx Reserve, by arranging a series of planting and organizing awareness campaign on the impact of unsustainable agriculture, overgrazing and other illegal practices on the ecological systems in wildlife environments. You're watching the Sound of Oman television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. 20 Palestinians are killed and dozens other injured and missing after Israeli bombardment targeted Jabalia camp north of Gaza Strip. And United Nations confirms that humanitarian aid has not entered northern Gaza Strip since beginning of this month. Hezbollah targets an Israeli infantry force near the Lebanese borders and hits an explosive factory in south of the city of Haifa with missiles. And the projects of the Al-Suwaiq Industrial City and the first phase of Muscat Airport Free Zone project have started. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's English News Bulletin. From all of us here in the newsroom and myself, Suhail Kindi, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Good night.